Going to get started today working on the Catch the Clown with add-ons. We'll be adding some additional levels, title screens, clowns, music, and game parameters. First thing I need to do from Canvas is I need to download this document. This is the source file I'm going to use. So I'm just going to click. There we go. And I want to copy and paste this into my documents. So I'm going to go to Show in Folder. Right-click, copy. Head on over to Documents, and you should have a Catch the Clown folder in here already. I'm going to go ahead and create one. And I'm going to paste that right in. Now you might have to go back to the K drive and open GameMaker first. The only way you can go ahead and double click to open is if you see the GameMaker icon. I've already opened GameMaker several times on my machine today, so I can just double click to open, whereas many of you will have to navigate back to the K drive, run the GameMaker 8 installer, and then do a file open. So I'll go ahead and open this up since I have open GameMaker and I see the icon that tells me it recognizes the file type. Okay. You can see we're dealing with our original game here. I just wanted everybody starting with the same source on this. So Canvas has a number of instructions for me here. I've got some links posted in announcements. That's where you can get your sound files, and then different parameters that I'm going to be changing up in the game. I've got a couple different days we'll be working on this. So there are some screenshots as well that might help you out. But for the most part, probably this video and then just kind of your content knowledge about what it is that you need to be doing. One of the first things I need to do is create a title screen, and I've got another video tutorial probably posted showing you how to do that in PowerPoint. I'm going to walk through it pretty quickly here, so it's not going to be as in-depth as maybe the one that you see on my other tutorial video. But if you're on the desktop, we're just going to hit the Start menu, and you guys are going to see a PowerPoint icon right up here. That's the one you're going to need to click on. If you just do a search for PowerPoint, that's the one that's going to require a license. If you use the one that just pops up when you hit the Windows button, Windows icon, you'll see a PowerPoint right there, and that's what you're going to need to use. On my machine, I do have a license, so I'm just going to open up the one I have to search for. With PowerPoint open, I'm going to choose a blank presentation. This open here. I usually delete these boxes here. I don't like the preloaded set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a picture. And I'm going to use the picture from the resources folder for Catch the Clown. I'm going to find the clown image, the clown sprite. So I'm going to navigate to my K drive. And I'm going right back to the resources folder that I used to create the game. There he is. Again, I'm going to run through this pretty quickly here, so I don't care about removing the background right now. If you did want to mess around with removing the background for any images, you need to make sure it's clicked. Go to Picture Format, Remove Background, and mark areas to keep. Mark areas remove is usually what I use, but I'm just going to draw a line there that tells me which parts of this guy I want to keep. Not super perfect right now, but again, actually, we're just gonna leave it the way it was. Okay. For my background, I'm gonna right-click, Format Background. And since I'm just kind of in a hurry here, I'm gonna do a gradient fill. Let's do some black. And for my second color, let's remove one. Whoops. Let's put this back to black. This guy, I'm gonna go to red. Dark red right here, and for this one we'll use a white. Play around with some functions here. Do a radial. There we go. And my instructions say I need to put press space to start and press F1 for instructions. So let's insert some word art. Go with the red there. And then I'm just going to copy this, keep it consistent. Copy, paste. And I'm going to change my text. Press F1 for instructions. All right, so that's, I do need a title, don't I? That's one of my requirements as well. So copy this, paste, and I'm just doing this to keep consistent formatting. Let's call this game Capture Krusty. Go. Shrink this just a little bit. I want my title to be the largest item. Go, that looks pretty good. And again, that's pretty simply made and quick. So in order to get this into GameMaker, I've got to go to File, Save As. And if I just hit save or anything, it's not going to work. So I'm going to browse. I want to put this in my pictures folder just because that's where I kind of throw a lot of stuff when I make these videos. And I'm going to call this Clown Title. And you need to make sure you change the file type here. It has to be saved as an image. And I'm going to export this as a JPEG. If you ever had white as a background and you did PNG, that's going to show up in GameMaker, usually with a transparent background. Me, I don't really care about that right now, so I'm going to go to JPEG. Now it's going to export it as an image. If you just left that, then it's going to be a PowerPoint and it will not work. So we'll save that. Just this one slide because I only have one. Very good. And let's head on back over to GameMaker. For backgrounds, I'm just going to load a new background here. And again, I put that in my pictures folder. Clown title. Open. Whoa, see, that's going to be huge. So in my instructions, it says I need to make that 640 by 360. So I'm going to go to Edit Sprite. Sorry, Edit Background. Transform. Stretch. And I think that's just going to be 50%. Yep, it's going to be 50% of that slide. So I was able to keep aspect ratio, and I just halved it down to get that 640 by 360. That's why we went with that design. With that size, cool. There we go. I need to create a new room. For my background in this room. So what I did is I just replaced the background there. I probably shouldn't have done that, but that's all right. In this case, for this one, I'm just going to do no background. Leave it black for now. You guys can put whatever color you want in there, or just use the original background if you want to, or create your own. I think so that's part of the requirements as well. But I need to create a new room. It's going to be my title screen. So I'll drag this up. There we go. That way it's the first one that plays. I'm going to rename this as room title. And for my background, I'm going to choose that background. Notice it's tiled. It doesn't look quite right. So I'm going to resize my room size to match that of my background. So I'm going to change this to the same settings as my background, which was 640 by 360. And I can see it matches perfectly. So in order to actually get this to function, I'm going to need to create an object. I can't just type the words press space to start and it's going to start the game when I hit space. I need to create an object, right? Because objects are what I actually interact with and makes my game function. It's the engine of the game. So I'm going to go to resources, create an object, and I'm going to name this one object underscore start. And I'm not even going to assign a sprite to it. It's a type of controller. So I'm going to add an event, and I'm going to do a keyboard function here. And since I want space to do something, I'm going to do space. And when I hit space, what do I want it to do? I want it to go to the next room. If you want to add a transition, you certainly can. I guess I'll go ahead and do that here. And hit OK. And I need to place that in my room. So I'm going to go to Objects, click to find my object start, and just place that anywhere. Now, one thing I did need to fix before, and I made a couple changes since that last edit. So my controller's in, so I want to make sure that in my room, my clown might look a little weird if I don't do this part. So make sure earlier that you do check draw a background color if you are adding a color in there, and you can assign it any color you want right now. Otherwise, without a background, your clown's going to look kind of spacey, and he's going to look like he's moving around in frames. So make sure you do have a background in there. But now that I've got my title screen and my controller ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and test this out. Hit space. All right, there we go. Next up I've got to do is I need to create an evil clown. And the first thing I'm going to do for that is I'm going to go up to my original sprite. I'm going to right click and duplicate that clown. And I'm going to rename this guy sprite evil clown 1 because I'll be creating a couple of these. I'm going to edit them, and I just want to edit his appearance a little bit. So I'm going to use my edit tool. Zoom in. And let's just give him, I don't know, a green nose. Maybe like some bloodshot eyes or something. There we go. It looks a little crazy now. And maybe some yellow hair. You guys can do whatever you need to on this. And actually, let's not do that. Okay. So for the sake of time, I'm gonna call this guy good. There you go. There's my evil clown. Hit OK. So now I need to create the object for the evil clown. To create the object for the evil clown, I'm going to duplicate my original clown. So right-click, duplicate. Call this obj underscore evil 1. I'm going to change the appearance of him, so he is now my evil clown. And now, one thing I need to do here is when I left press on him, I don't want to increase the score by 10. I want to change the score to decrease by 5 every time that I click him. And I'm also going to delete any sound functions associated with him. That way I don't have conflicting sounds playing. So what I just set up is now if the evil clown is clicked, it's going to decrease the score by 10. And the other half of that is I need to actually have him be created somehow here. So I'm going to add some events to my original clown. Before I do that, there's one thing I needed to do, which is I want to change the speed of my evil clown. We're going to make him move a little faster. So I'm going to set him at a speed of 10. All right, so in order to actually make him pop up, I'm not going to place him in my room yet. The only way he's going to show up is when I left press on the object cloud. So I'm going to add a function here that says when I left press on my clown, I'm going to go to create an instance. And I want to create an object of the evil clown 1. I can leave these at 0, 0. I just need to make sure I check relative. Now let's see how this all works. Make sure you click the window to make sure it's the active window. Oh, there we go. See, my score decreased by 5 right there. Some of the other requirements I need to do is I need to create a second level that's more difficult than my first level, and it's going to have some pre-existing evil clowns. So there I actually will place the evil clowns in there. And then I'm going to create a controller that's going to advance me to the second room once my score reaches 60 in that first. So what I like to do, when possible, I just like to duplicate and use that way. I've got at least a baseline to start with. So I'm going to duplicate my first room, and I'm actually going to rename that now since I'm adding multiple levels. So I'm going to call that room level 1, and I'm going to rename this one room level 2. And I'm going to alter the layout a little bit. So let's add some walls in here just to increase the difficulty. You guys can tinker with this however you'd like to. There we go. And I do need to add some evil clowns in here when it starts. Those are part of my rules or requirements here. So add a few of these guys in. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate and create a third room while I'm at it. I did leave the door pretty wide open for you guys when it comes to customizing and changing some things up. So one of them does have to do with the music of your game and the controller and everything. So the first thing I'll do is let's just create my score controller. And I'm going to create a new object. And I'm going to call this OBJ score controller level 1. And my event here is just going to be a create. And I'm going to do let's see if I can find the right one. Oh, so close. Test score. What a test score does is it kind of creates a function that if your score reaches a certain point, then it's going to trigger an event. So I'm going to do a test score, and my parameters, I believe, state that once I get a score of 60, and you want to make sure you do larger than, and I'm actually going to put 59 here. That way, if I get a score that's 60 or greater, then it's going to trigger me to that next room. If I just put 60 and equal to, then if I got a score of 65, it's not going to do it. So I'm going to go 59 and larger than. And what's going to happen then is I need to create something here that's going to send me to the next room. And sure, let's do another create from center here. Okay. So as I went through and tested my different controllers, I realized I did make a mistake. So when I tell you guys make mistakes, problem solve, that's exactly what I had to do here. I actually created this incorrectly the first time around. Instead of create, I actually need to change this to a step function. So I'm just going to go change event and step. I'm going to go to my first level, and I'm now going to add that object in. Just place that anywhere. Okay. So now once I hit a score of 60 or more, it's going to send me to the next room. And another one of the items we talked about possibly adding is additional background music. In order to get that background music to function the way I want it to, there's a couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to actually duplicate my original clown, and I'm going to rename him Object Clown 2. And I'm doing that so that way I can place him in my second room. So I'm going to delete the first clown, put in my clown 2, because I'm going to assign a different music file to that clown. And there are several different ways you could go around doing this. This is just the way I'm going to choose for today. So right now he's still set to play the same background music. So I'm going to create a new sound and download a sound here and show you that walkthrough. So I've got one of my resources open, VG Music. No, I don't want to use that one. I want to use MIDI World. And I'm just going to pick something. I just did a search for video games, and I'm going to go with, I think I saw Castlevania. There we go. I'm going to click download. Show in folder, because I want to copy this over to the folder I created. Right click copy. Go to my documents, and I'm going to put this in my Catch the Clown folder. Paste. There we go. MIDI. So now I need to create a new sound. Load it. Documents, I put it in Catch the Clown. And let's call this Sound Music 2. Sounds good. And now in my object clown 2, I'm just going to replace the sound file. So now when I load up my second level, that clown will trigger that sound of that background music instead of the original background music. So what I still have to do here is kind of program some things into my second level. My score controller, that was horribly misspelled. Item there. That looks better. Okay. So that's my controller for that first level, and I'm going to start by duplicating that. And for my second level, the parameters I set up is I want to, once I reach a score of 120 or larger, I want to go to the next room. So I'm going to do larger than 119. And just like before, I need to place that controller in here. And you can see I've got a third level set up. And just for speed-wise, I'll alter the layout here. This is kind of boring, but we'll just see how that looks. So what I've got to do for my third level is now I'm going to introduce my death clown. And so once again, I'm going to go back up. I'm going to duplicate my original sprite clown. Call him SPR Death Clown. Size-wise, I want to set him at 64 by 64. He's going to be a big boy, twice the size of my original sprite. So edit sprite, transform, stretch. I'm just going to double the size of him. And then I want to edit his appearance. So this is going to be my Death Clown. Let's give him a nice black nose. Ooh. Copy this in a little bit. You guys can do a lot better job than I can when it comes to redesigning sprites, I promise you. Yeah, maybe just like some black eyes. And I'm just doing this for speed's sake. Just like some red X's over his eyes. I don't know. You can make him look like whatever you want. And this is just me doing this so I can quickly try to get through the rest of this tutorial for you. Alters. That didn't do a whole lot. There we go. Whoa. All right, that's horrible, but for the sake of time, I've got to get going on this. So I've got my sprite Death Clown. And we're going to edit his object settings here in a moment. For the Death Clown, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the Evil Clown. Reassign the sprite. And I want him moving at a speed of 15. And when I left click on him, I'm not actually going to do anything with the score or spawning or anything. All I'm going to do is delete these functions. I want to bring up the high score table. Don't need to, if you want to mess around with any settings here, you certainly can. I'm not going to because of the time to get you guys rolling on this. And then I want it to end the game. So if these were flipped, then it would end the game and your high score table would never show up. So you need to make sure you have show high score table first and then end the game. Heading over to my third level, I need to place him in. All right, and there he is. This placement, you might get kind of stuck in this area, so I'm actually going to decrease my wall size a little bit so he has clearance. But that way, I am creating a little bit of conflict to the point where if my main clown ever gets caught near my death clown, then it's going to be pretty tough to navigate and not click this guy, which is what I want. Since I had a different clown with different music in my second level, I'm going to do the same thing for my third level. So let's go ahead and delete this clown. I'm going to duplicate Object Clown 2, and I'm going to name him Object Clown 3. Head on back to one of my resource pages. And, oh goodness, I don't know which one to pick. This Killer Instinct one sounds cool, so let's go with that. Download. Show in folder, and again, copy that over, otherwise you risk losing it the second you log off, and that could create some issues with your game. I can just duplicate that. Load a different sound. Killer Instinct, Object Clown 3, change the music file, and there's my Object Clown 3. Well, I've gone through, I've tested my game out, and it looks like once I changed my events from create to step with my controllers, everything functioned correctly. My music changed with each level, which was nice. My death clown brought up my high score table, which is great. One thing that I would still need to do is go back and change my game information to state what the evil clowns do, what happens if I click them, what happens when I click the original clown, what happens if I click the death clown, because we do want to educate the player before they get going. But that is a quick tutorial on adding title screens, importing different sounds, creating and editing sprites, objects, score controllers, advancing to the next levels, and everything else for your Catch the Clown with add-ons.